Hello, For Your Children here, Tiffany Boyd. Hope everyone is doing well. If you can hear me, please comment in the chat and let me know that the audio is working correctly. Again, thank you for joining us today. I wanted to get on this afternoon and talk to you about our bill, the FREE Act. A lot of questions are being asked about this particular piece of legislation, so I wanted to go into detail with you this afternoon about this bill, why we decided to file it, and what we hope to accomplish. So again, if you were joining us, there's a chat section where you can speak to me privately. So just comment in that chat if you can hear me. If you have questions that you would like to ask, I can read the questions over in the chat and try to keep up with those the best that I can and answer those in real time. So first off, I want to say that last week, the legislative special session was exhausting. We're home now. We were there for 3 days watching the Education Freedom Scholarship Act move through the legislative process. Of course, as you all know, that bill has passed. And we were anticipating that to happen. We knew that that was likely going to be the scenario. And that is one of the many reasons why we worked so diligently to draft the legislation that we're going to be talking about today. So again, I'm not sure who's listening in, but if you are, please let me know in the chat feature if the audio is working and you can hear me. So the bill that we are discussing today is Senate Bill 494 and House Bill 552. You will hear us refer to it as the FREE Act. This particular bill, let me just start by saying that I am very honored to have worked with our Free Your Children team to draft this legislation. It was a lengthy process. A lot of work went into doing this, and I want to recognize those of you who chose to dedicate your time to help us get this legislation drafted. And now it has been filed in both the House and the Senate side. Of course, the senator that is carrying this piece of legislation is Senator Janice Bowling. And then the representative that is carrying this piece of legislation is Representative Todd Warner. So a special thank you to them. We know that they are committed to helping us maintain our educational, parental, and constitutional rights. So again, a special thank you to them for being willing to sponsor this particular piece of legislation. So I don't know how many of you have actually had the opportunity to read this, but the acronym FREE stands for the Family Right to Educational Emancipation Act, the FREE Act. And so, of course, again, we are referring to this as the FREE Act with the acronyms of the full title of that bill. This has absolutely nothing to do with Governor Lee's Education Freedom Scholarship Act. That is not the reason why we drafted this particular legislation. It has nothing to do with voucher money. It has nothing to do with government money. Actually, it's the counter of that. This is a category for the homeschooling community that would provide parents with true educational freedom or autonomy, which we do not currently have in Tennessee. And that's why it was so important for us to draft this particular piece of legislation. I've had some questions about this in other groups, about the ministry, Free Your Children. It's a Christian ministry, wanting to know if this particular piece of legislation was just drafted for the Christian community. The answer to that is no. All parents and families have the right to freedom under our Constitution. So homeschooling is legal in all 50 states. And so, again, this particular piece of legislation would be an additional option for homeschooling families in the state of Tennessee. It does not replace the other current educational homeschool options that are available. It would just be offering another category. It is not independent homeschooling. There is already a legal option to educate your children, home educate your children in the state of Tennessee under the independent option. This is totally separate from that. This particular piece of legislation would recognize our constitutional rights in the state of Tennessee. There are 11 other states that currently have the ability to do what we are attempting to do. There are only 2 states that are that have and are attempting to do this through legislation. One is Wyoming. Their bill has already passed through the House, and the other is Tennessee, the bill that we have drafted. So again, if you haven't read it, I would encourage you to do so. It's 6 pages. I think there's one sentence on the 7th page, but it's six pages of legislation. And I'm going to be going through that with you here today on this live. I'm not going to keep you very long. I'm just trying to answer some questions about it right out of the gate. I would ask you, if you are a freedom-minded individual, to go ahead and start contacting your legislators and asking them to vote yes on the FREE Act. You can see on the screen, hopefully, it is HB 552. That's the House bill. The Senate bill is 494. So ask your legislators to vote yes on this piece of legislation. So again, as I had mentioned, it is the Family Right to Educational Emancipation, the FREE Act. And you can see if you have the bill pulled up. If you don't, I'm just going to kind of go over it briefly with you. What we are asking for is for the state to acknowledge that parents have the primary role in determining the educational path for their children, including the choice to educate their children at home without interference or undue regulation from the state. Now, therefore, be it enacted by the General Assembly of the State of Tennessee, Section 1, this act is known and may be cited as the Family Right to Educational Emancipation FREE Act. In addition to homeschools subject to the requirements of subsection and homeschools operated under the subdivision A2 or A3, a parent or legal guardian may elect to educate their child at home without having to comply with subsection B. A homeschool conducted pursuant to this subdivision, A4, is a separate and distinct type of homeschool. So again, we are not attempting to take away the homeschooling options that are already available. There are 3 legal options currently to homeschool in the state of Tennessee. This is a complete and total separate option for families who so desire in the state of Tennessee. Parents and legal guardians have the right to direct the education of their children, including but not limited to the right to choose whether their child's education is received through a public school, private school, or homeschool. If a parent or legal guardian elects to conduct a homeschool pursuant to this subdivision, A4, then neither the state nor a local government or agency in the state may infringe on the rights of the parent or legal guardian to make decisions concerning their child's homeschool education, including but not limited to the curriculum, courses of study, and methods of instruction selected or used. The state and all local governments and agencies in this state shall recognize homeschools operated pursuant to this subdivision, A4, as a distinct and separate category of parent-led instruction that is unrelated to public and private schooling options. I want to stop right there and say, so this particular option that this bill is discussing is the majority of homeschoolers in the state of Tennessee are currently registered under a Category 4 homeschool or a church-related school. This is a totally separate option from that, okay? So it's a distinct and separate category of parent-led education that is unrelated to public and private schooling options. Notwithstanding this title or another law to the contrary, students being educated in a homeschool operated pursuant to this subdivision, A4, and the student's parents or legal guardians are exempt from the state's compulsory school attendance, truancy intervention, and all other educational laws, rules, and requirements established by the state or by a local government or agency in the state, except for a rule or requirement established for such homeschools in this subdivision, A4. Now, again, There are already states in the United States who are recognizing all of these things. We are not asking for something that other states are not already receiving. There are other states who do not require homeschool children, 11 to be exact, to register with any state agency. And we are asking for the same here in Tennessee through this piece of legislation. The state or local government or agency in the state shall not require a student being educated in a homeschool operated pursuant to this subdivision A4, the student's parent or legal guardian to be administered or to administer any assessment, including but not limited to a state mandated standardized test or assessment, or submit or report any information or documentation regarding to the homeschool's attendance or education to the state, any school or school district in the state, or any other governmental entity. The state or local governmental or agency in the state shall not impose any rules, requirements, mandates, or guidelines regarding the curriculum, instructional materials, or instructional methods used by parents or legal guardians for children being educated in a homeschool conducted pursuant to subdivision A4. Again, this particular bill does not just cover Christian parents that are teaching Christian-based curriculum. This would be any parent who desires to homeschool their child under this particular option. Again, remember that freedom is for all parents, not just, parents who would be teaching their children from a Christian worldview. That's one of the questions that I have received about this bill, and I'm just trying to answer it. Section 3. Tennessee Code Annotated, Section 49.6.3001C1 is amended by deleting the first sentence of the subdivision and substituting instead the following. Every parent, guardian, or other legal custodian residing in this state who has control or charge of a child or children between 6 and 17 years of age, both inclusive, and who has not elected to homeschool the child or children in accordance with Tennessee Code Annotated 49.6.3050A4, shall cause the child or children to attend a public school, private school, or church-related school, and in the event of their failure to do so, is subjected to the penalties provided in this part. So the other homeschooling options in the state of Tennessee have to follow the guidelines that are set forth and the conditions that are set forth under Tennessee state law governing those homeschool options. Again, this is a totally separate category. Tennessee Code Annotated Section 49.6.3001C2 is amended by adding the following as a new subdivision. Is between 6 and 17 years of age, both inclusive, and whose parent or legal guardian has elected to educate their child at home in a homeschool conducted pursuant to, and then it gives the Tennessee Code Annotated Code. It goes on to say that it is amended by deleting the word and adding the following language at the end of the subdivision. And with respect to a homeschool conducted by a parent or legal guardian, the director of schools means the homeschool student's parent or legal guardian. Now, in other states where this type of option is already legal in their state, the homeschool parents serve as the principal, the director of schools, and that is exactly what this bill is attempting to do. Again, it is a bill that is attempting to recognize the rights of the parents to home educate their children in Tennessee the same way it is already being recognized in 11 other states, except we're doing it or attempting to do it through this bill and through legislation. Tennessee Code Annotated Section 55.105 is amended by adding the following language at the end of the subsection. The subsection C does not require the parent or legal guardian of a student who is being educated in a homeschool conducted pursuant to, and it gives, Tennessee Code Annotated, to provide any documentation or information to or to obtain any consent or authorization from the director of schools for the school district in which the child resides in order to work the hours identified in subsection B1. It is amended by adding the following as a new subsection. Notwithstanding this section or another law to the contrary, children between 6 and 17, both inclusive, who are educated by the child's parent or legal guardian in a homeschool conducted pursuant to, and it gives Tennessee Code annotated, are exempt from the state's compulsory school attendance, truancy intervention, and all other educational laws, rules, and requirements. It is amended by adding the following as a new subsection. Notwithstanding this section or another law to the contrary, children between 6 and 17 years of age, both inclusive, who are being educated by the child's parent or legal guardian in a homeschool conducted pursuant, again, Tennessee Code annotated, are exempt from the state's compulsory school attendance, truancy intervention, and all other educational laws, rules, and requirements, and the state or local government or agency in the state shall not require a student being educated in a homeschool conducted pursuant to Tennessee Code annotated A4 or the student's parent or legal guardian to submit or report any information or documentation regarding the homeschool student's attendance or education to the state, any school or school district in the state, or any other governmental entity. Section 9 is amended by adding the following as a new subsection. And again, it gives the Tennessee Code annotated number in the bill. You can read it yourself. Notwithstanding this section or another law to the contrary, children between 6 and 17, both inclusive, who are being educated by the child's parent or legal guardian in a homeschool pursuant to this particular act, are exempt. And again, it goes on to say the state's compulsory school attendance, truancy intervention, and all other educational laws, rules, and requirements. And that is repeated numerous times in the bill for clarification purposes in case there are legislators who have questions. And this is a new subsection. It says Tennessee Code annotated, and it gives the code is amended by adding the following. The same thing that I just read. The state or a local government or agency in this state shall not require a student being home educated in a homeschool pursuant to this act or the student's parent or legal guardian to submit or report any information. Again, same thing. So a lot of clarification, redundancy for clarification purposes in this particular bill. Then in the state of Tennessee, there's a requirement for students or children to be able to get their learner's permit and then their driver's license. So we had to make sure that we were including that also. So this is section 11. And it says the Department of Safety shall not condition the insurance of a driver's license or learner's permit as those terms are defined in Tennessee Code annotated 5550-102 on a school-aged applicant's attendance record or enrollment status, or otherwise require a school-aged applicant to present evidence of school attendance or enrollment as part of their education. They're going to amend, deleting subdivision 2 and substituting instead the following. The department shall not assess a first-time applicant a reinstatement. The applicant is 18 years of age or younger, and the applicant's driver's license or learner's permit was suspended prior to July 1st, 2025, due to the applicant's withdrawing from secondary school. Then it goes on to talk about how it is amended by deleting the section in Tennessee Code annotated. So it talks about all of the different sections that will be amended. And then it ends by saying, if any provision of this act or its application to any person or circumstance is held invalid, the validity does not affect other provisions or applications of the act that can be given effect without the invalid provision or application. And to that end, the provisions of this act are severable. This act takes effect July 1st, 2025, the public welfare requiring it. So I gave you an overview of the bill. I would highly encourage you to read the bill for yourselves. But again, we are not asking for anything that isn't already occurring in the 11 other states in terms of recognizing a parents' or guardians' constitutional rights. So if you have questions and you're on here in the chat, feel to ask those, and I will do my best to answer them. I'm not going to keep you on here for a lengthy amount of time, but I have had numerous questions about the bill. One question that pops up is, how would this affect a student who would like to participate in school sports? My answer to that would be, if you are a parent desiring to keep your children participating in some type of school sponsored sporting activity, this particular homeschool category would likely not be for you. This category was created for parents who want complete and total educational autonomy. And these are going to be parents who are not going to be wanting to accept any type of government voucher or education scholarship account, because those monies are going to come with strings attached to them. And so this particular homeschool category was set aside to protect families who know and understand what true educational freedom and autonomy looks like. So if you're going to have to subscribe or follow or agree to any terms of conditions that a public school system or the state is going to set forth, then this homeschool category would not be a homeschool category that you would want to choose to educate your children under. And again, we are not taking away or attempting to take away those other legal options of homeschooling. If you still feel that registering your child as an independent homeschooler through the state, which is the most regulated type of homeschooling in the state of Tennessee, then you can still choose to register your child as an independent homeschooler through the Board of Education. If you believe that an umbrella school or a church-related school or a Category 4 school is what fits your family's needs best, then that option would still be available for you to choose. If you have your child enrolled in some type of accredited online school, then that option would still be available for you. This is just an additional option for families who wish to exercise their constitutional rights and who want to participate in a form of homeschooling in the state of Tennessee that provides families with complete educational autonomy and freedom. This is already happening in other states. It's been happening for decades in other states, and they have definitely seen the benefits of that. I was speaking to leadership in some of the 11 states that are already enjoying these freedoms. And another question I had was, how are these kids ever going to get into college? Very easily. It's been happening for decades in the states that already have these freedoms recognized. In those states, the parents are in charge of writing their transcripts, of issuing their children diplomas, and they are and have been accepted into colleges and trade schools for decades without problems. Those children have graduated from college without problems because it's recognized in that state as a legal option. So that's a non-entity because it's already been happening in states where their freedoms are recognized. So this is groundbreaking for the state of Tennessee and Wyoming if this legislation passes. And again, I would encourage you, even if you are not a Christian, if you want the government out of your business and you believe that parents have the right to educate their children as they see fit, if you want to be allowed to educate your children without the government dictating to you how and when and what that's supposed to look like, and you want to be able to do it separate from government money flowing back into your homeschool, because remember, with those monies are going to come strings. We're already seeing it happening all across the United States with their school choice bills, and many of those leaders from those states that are dealing with this right now are going to be on the show to discuss what's happening in their states coming up. I hope that I've answered your questions, or maybe some of your questions that you have had, but I would encourage you and remind you that this is what true school choice looks like. This is what empowering parents looks like. This is what putting parents in the driver's seat really looks like. This is what giving them true choice really looks like. And it's choice without the strings attached to the government carrot of money that they're trying to dangle in the faces of the homeschool community. So I would encourage you to reach out to your legislators who claim that they believe in all the things that I mentioned, and ask them to support the FREE Act. Again, you can see on the screen the bill numbers that are there: HB 552 and Senate Bill 494. And I hope that everyone could hear all of the information that I was discussing in this, that there weren't any audio issues. If you're watching this, I don't see any comments in the private chat, but if you know me personally and you are watching this, please let me know if you can hear. Send me a text or a message and let me know that the audio on this was working correctly. We are still working through learning how to navigate all of our new equipment. And we are thrilled to be able to have the ability to have conversations with you all in real time. What we are going to need from you, if you are a freedom-minded organization or you are a freedom-minded individual, is we're going to need you to show up. If you have not purchased a Free Your Children shirt, I highly encourage you to contact me and we will see if we can make that happen. Okay, I'm getting feedback now. I can feel it on my phone and see it on a watch here that the audio is working correctly. So that's good news. If you would like to purchase a Free Your Children shirt so that you can come to the Capitol with us and we're easily identified as all being freedom-minded families, I would encourage you to do that. We saw with AFP and their push for school choice how powerful that is. It makes a statement to the legislators that we're all standing in unity. We don't make any money off these shirts. We're just selling them for what it costs to get them and then get them to you. If you don't want to buy a Free Your Children shirt, that's fine. Come in a bright, obnoxious hunter caution orange shirt because that's our designated color. We did that on purpose. I was just at Walmart earlier today and saw, at least in our Walmart, they had their hunter green, their hunter orange caution color on sale on clearance, the long sleeve thin t-shirt. So that's an option as well. You can check out your local stores for those if you don't want to buy an actual Free Your Children shirt. But it's really important for us to be easily identifiable, make signs, vote yes on the FREE Act. Those are also very powerful. So that's one thing we need. We also need your support. For those of you who maybe cannot come to the Capitol, we need support from you as well. It's very, very expensive for us to make trips to the Capitol. We are going to be there going into the legislators' offices to speak to them about this bill before it ever goes to committee. Again, that's another trip or multiple trips to Nashville. So we have gas, we have parking, we have a lot of needs that need to be met, and we are trying to do this on a shoestring budget with our own contributions from our own independent families. So if you would like to donate to help make this fight easier for us, over on the website freeyourchildren.com, there's a donate button there. We also have a Venmo if you would prefer that. We would appreciate that. We need you to start contacting, if you're a homeschooler, we need you to start contacting all of the people in your homeschool community and tell them to start following Free Your Children on all the social media platforms, sign up for the newsletter so they can get up-to-date information as this bill moves through the process. Like and share our social media posts so that we can gain some traction in, that landscape as well. The website right now is currently being updated. We have a lot of updates that we're putting on the website. So while that's under construction, make sure you're signed up for the newsletter so that you don't miss anything, because we will be letting you know through the newsletter in real time. We can get that out even quicker oftentimes than we can get the information up on the website. So and it's free to subscribe to the newsletter. So if you haven't signed up for that, please do so. Again, we need you to call your legislators. We need you to email your legislators, and we will have a link to the emails of all of your senators and representatives. I would highly recommend you to do that. And I would really encourage you to personalize those instead of just sending a standard email that oftentimes they just delete. If you would personalize those, if you would reach out to them, if you know your representatives or legislators that live in your area, have a personal conversation with them about why you want to see this bill passed and what it means to you personally and to the state of Tennessee. So this is going to take a lot of work, and we are a really, really small team. So we need as many people who believe in true educational freedom and parental rights and educational and constitutional rights to get on board with this so we can start pushing for the FREE Act in our state. So it's going to take a lot of legwork on our part, which we are committed to doing. You know, we started fighting back against all of this back when they were trying to vote TISA in, which they did. You know, we warned about all of this then. And then also when they were seeking to change legislation that would allow them to set up a charter school commission that would override local school boards. We were totally against that because that we knew then that that was going to be another leg of how they were going to implement school choice in the state of Tennessee. So we have been fighting this for a long time, and we've never changed our stance on how we felt about school choice and how we felt about educational, parental, and constitutional rights in the state of Tennessee. But now we need a bigger voice. Looks like I'm getting a message. Someone's sending me a private message, so I'm going to see if I can address this. See if I can get it to pull up. I think it said something about dual enrollment. Can you still do dual enrollment and receive the Hope Scholarship under this new bill you're working on? Is there a list of who we need to contact? We're working on a list. We've already put it out there several times, but we will definitely put it out there again. It will also be uploaded to the website. If you are wanting to dual enroll your child, that would mean that you are going to have to follow whatever rules that are set forth by that institution, which is probably taking federal funding. And so this section of homeschooling would likely not be an option that you would want to choose. But that would be something, you know, for you to check in to see if this is what fits your family's needs. So again, if you want complete and total educational autonomy and freedom, it's going to be set apart from all of the other options. So if there are certain requirements that the state is putting forth for your child to be able to participate in a program, then, you know, that is something that would not pertain to this particular category. But you still have all the other categories that you can choose from if you do so choose. Any other questions? I think that's about the only other question that I see coming through. But just know, again, that this is an additional category that we are asking to be able to be recognized in the state of Tennessee so that we are free from what we know is going to be coming down the pipe in terms of the homeschool community in the future. So that's just something that we felt called to do. And we've seen some other things in other states that have happened to let us know that, you know, the time was very short to try to be able to make this happen for our state of Tennessee to best protect our families, those that want to make sure that the government is not dictating to us how we homeschool our children. And that, again, we are not asking for something that has not already happened for decades in other states. What we are asking for is that our rights be recognized as they are in the 11 states that already have these freedoms recognized. I won't say granted because we already have those freedoms. So they're not granting us anything. They are just legally recognizing them via this piece of legislation that has been drafted. And again, what we're doing is we're asking for the very things that they claimed that they believed in. And I have actually written an article for the Murfreesboro Pulse that will be coming out soon. I think their release date is the 6th typically, and it's all about the FREE Act. And I would encourage you all to read it so you can better understand, you know, why we felt like this bill was needed in the state of Tennessee and what we're trying to accomplish with it. So I would encourage you to read that when it comes out. I have an author page with the Borough Pulse, so you can go there and read all the articles that I've pinned to date about all the things that I talk about regularly on For Your Children. We also have converted to podcast platform. So we will be doing and ramping back up with those hopefully this week. My goal is to do a live stream with a guest this week, and then start at least trying to bring one show like I was doing in the past for almost 2 years, one show weekly with different guests all over the nation to talk about these subjects. You can still access all of my old shows that I've been doing as well, and listen to what those experts had to say about all things that I normally focus on here on For Your Children. So we are getting ready to expand with our ministry and what we're doing. I have an opportunity, another opportunity to go out of state to participate in an event that's coming up, and I will be letting you know more information on that. But we are very excited, and we are very honored to have drafted the legislation for the FREE Act. And again, thank you to our For Your Children team who worked with me so diligently to get this done. I know it was a lot of work. You are looking at moms and dads who homeschool their children and who believe that we have the right to do so without government interference. And that is the reason why the legislation was drafted. And so I know it was a great sacrifice, not only for myself, but for them as well, and my Free Your Children team, who dedicates so much time to try to make sure that we are doing what we can to stay on top of what's not only going on in Tennessee, but across the nation. So I hope I answered some questions about this particular bill. But the big takeaway that I want you to know is that every parent, no matter what they subscribe to, will benefit from a piece of legislation that seeks to take the government out of the business of homeschooling and truly empower parents and put parents in the driver's seat. This is not just a piece of legislation that was just written for Christian homeschoolers. That is not what this was or seeks to do at all. It's to give parents the ability to educate their children as they see fit. Free Your Children is a Christian ministry, and I am a Christian. And so for my family, that would be educating my children from a Christian worldview. But that may look different from another family. And we are recognizing their rights as well with this piece of legislation. So I hope that clarifies. What you need to realize if you're not a homeschooler is the homeschool community is very, very diverse. It's not just groups of Christians that are homeschooling their children. The homeschool community is comprised of many different families of many different faith backgrounds, some who are secular and not aligned with any faith. And this particular option, again, seeks to take the government out of your homeschool so that you can make the decision as to how to best educate your children. So I hope that clarifies some things. Again, I'm going to reiterate, we are not seeking to take away the other current legal homeschool options in the state of Tennessee. All of those are still available, and you can choose which option works best for your family. Again, giving families in Tennessee true educational choice without government money and government strings attached to it. So I hope that you'll reach out to your legislators. You'll send them emails. You will make phone calls. Most importantly, if at all possible, you can show up at the Capitol with us as the bills move through committee. But I do think that if we want to have an opportunity to see true educational freedom in the state of Tennessee, you're going to have to show up. You're going to have to get out of your comfort zone. You're going to have to make sacrifices, and we're going to need you there in person to help us, because I'm only one person and I can only do so much. And so we are definitely going to need you there, standing arm in arm with us and fighting for the same things. I hope to meet so many more of you, I should say, in person, because I know a lot of people across the U.S. and here in Tennessee are following this particular piece of legislation. And I would just ask that if you are freedom-minded, you help us fight for the opportunity to have these rights recognized in the state of Tennessee. If you can't come and you would like to support us, again, there's a donate button over on foryourchildren.com that will help us be able to continue to do the work that we need to do. And it's very, very expensive to do this. And we don't have huge organizations that are giving us money in order for us to be able to continue to make the trips that have to be made, because this isn't going to be a one-time thing. And I will tell you that no matter how this turns out in the end, this is going to be a continual fight to protect our freedoms in Tennessee, our educational, parental, and constitutional rights in Tennessee every single legislative session. So we are just on the edge of this fight, and it's going to continue. So this is something that is going to have to be addressed on a regular basis, and it's something that's going to have to be tracked on a regular basis, just as we've been doing for years here at For Your Children. And we plan to continue doing that as long as we possibly can, but we will need help and support. So I hope I answered your questions. If you have any more, and I know that a lot of you actually have reached out to me. And if I haven't answered you yet, it's just because I've been swamped with phone calls and emails and messages, and I will try to get to you as quickly as possible. But I ask that you just please give me grace and patience, because I am still a homeschool mom, homeschooling 2 of my own children. We actually had to get finished with our school for the day before I jumped on here to do this live. But I knew that there were a lot of questions, because the posts have been shared widely over on the Free Your Children social media pages about this particular act. It is available on the Tennessee General Assembly website. You can go there and you can read it for yourself. You can share it with whomever you think that needs to read it. And again, we're hard at work. The Senate will be out this week, but the House is there. And so I would encourage you to start contacting your representatives and asking them, to vote yes on this particular piece of legislation. And then when the Senate comes back, start those phone calls and emails, and we will be traveling up as well. So if you have an interest in joining us as we go up to Cordell Hall to meet with our legislators, please let me know the days that you would be available, and if you would be willing to do that, and which ones that you would like to speak to. And we would be happy to get you on our volunteer list in that capacity as well. So again, I hope you all have a fantastic day. And we're going to just continue fighting for the same things that we've always fought for. And, know that there are lots of parents in Tennessee that truly believe that our rights to educate our children as we see fit should be recognized. And I look forward to meeting you all in person. So I hope that you all have a fantastic day. Thank you.